What's up, guys? It's Justin here, the best-selling author of Elite Mind. Have you ever felt your heart race out of control, your chest tighten, and a wave of panic rush over your brain and your body? If so, you've had an anxiety attack, and it can be absolutely crippling. But today I'm going to share with you how to stop these anxiety attacks immediately using 5 proven techniques that are incredibly powerful and incredibly helpful. And these methods aren't just powerful and life-changing, they're also unique, and they're far from the generic advice you find elsewhere on YouTube. So trust me when I say you don't want to miss this. Number 1 is an incredibly powerful breathing technique that immediately calms the parasympathetic nervous system and also relaxes the brain. It does so by balancing out the CO2 and oxygen levels in the lungs and also balancing out the neurotransmitters in the brain, including boosting production of relaxing neurotransmitters like GABA. This breathing technique is called the relaxing breath, or the 4-7-8 breathing technique, pioneered by a guy named Dr. Andrew Weil. And it's very simple to do. All you have to do is a 4 count in, so an inhale of 4 seconds, then you hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then you breathe out for 8 full seconds, making a whoosh sound as you do so, like this. And that's considered 1 round. So you would do 4, 7, 8 all together. That's 1 round, and you would do that between 4 to 10 times. And by the time you get to at least 4, you start to feel amazing and incredibly relaxed. And again, you can go anywhere from 4 rounds to 10 rounds, possibly even more as needed, but typically that's all you really need to start feeling incredibly relaxed and calm down. And you can use this breathing technique as much as you really need, but specifically in situations when you want to stop an anxiety attack in its tracks, this breathing technique is incredibly effective. The number 2 technique for stopping anxiety attacks is simply addressing whatever's causing you that anxiety. I know this one seems too simple to be true, but trust me, it actually works. Oftentimes, people who are having anxiety, or specifically anxiety attacks, are running away from that anxiety. There's a problem in their life that's triggering them to get anxious, to have all the feelings of an anxiety attack, to have the chest tightness, the racing heart, the racing thoughts, all the symptoms, the sweaty palms, all of these things that go into anxiety, or specifically an attack. And people tend to run away from these symptoms because they fear them. And the triggers of these symptoms, they also tend to avoid because they don't want to actually face that thing, fearing that possibly it could get worse. But what they're actually doing when they avoid facing the trigger of their anxiety is they do actually make it worse, because all anxiety really is at its core is a projection of something bad happening in the future. And by avoiding this trigger, you're automatically putting your mindset into that future. So essentially, you're creating that reality of that negative thing happening without even it having to happen. And by doing this over and over and over again, you actually make that trigger more powerful, and you make the anxiety attack worse. So whether it's a problem at home, a problem at work, a problem with your relationships, a problem with your friends, a problem with money, finances, whatever it may be, simply addressing that thing is oftentimes the easiest way to stop that anxiety in its tracks. Now again, this may be simple, and it really truly is, but oftentimes it's not easy because it can be terrifying to face that fear down. But I'm here to tell you right now, if you can do this, oftentimes what you do is empower yourself, and you're able to overcome that fear, because oftentimes that fear isn't nearly as bad as your projection of what you think it's going to be in the future. By exposing that fear to the light, you can reveal that actually it's really not that bad. And again, oftentimes just the simple act of going after your fears, facing down your anxiety, is powerful enough to overcome it in and of itself. It's kind of like getting picked on by a bully in grade school. And after getting picked on for so long, you finally stand up to that bully and punch him right in the face. And by beating him up, you realize that he was never even really that bad or that tough or anything to actually fear. And what happens after you beat up the bully? He stops bothering you. And that's the same exact thing with anxiety. The 3rd proven technique for relief to anxiety attacks is creating an anchor beforehand, so you have a go-to resource and tool to stop your anxiety. So anchoring is a powerful NLP technique you can use in all aspects of life, but one of the best ways to apply it is actually with anxiety and stress. Now, obviously, we can get into a lot more detail in another video, but for this video, I want to keep it fairly simple, fairly easy, and walk you through a basic anchoring technique against anxiety. So step number 1 is to simply think about a time, a place where you are incredibly relaxed, incredibly comfortable, incredibly calm, and just felt amazing. Now, this could be any area of your life and any time period of your life as well. It could be when you were a kid, could be a couple of years ago, it could be a couple of days ago, whenever you felt absolutely amazing. And one of the times you can remember just being at your best. And number two is I want you to take in all the sights and sounds and sensations of being in that moment. How did you feel? What were you seeing? Make the picture as vivid as possible, the colors as bright as possible, the image as large as possible, the sights, the sounds, the feelings that you had, all of these things, all these sensations and cues of being in that moment and feeling absolutely amazing. Make them as vivid as possible, as large as possible, as bright as possible, and really step into that feeling of you in that moment. And by the way, I'm giving you the process of it, but I want you to perform it after the video so you get all these techniques in, because it really does take several moments to really take in this vivid picture with all the brightness and the vividness and the colors and the sights and the sounds and the feelings, especially of being in that moment. You can't just do it immediately like that. You really take it in. It takes a couple of minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes even if you really want to dive into it. But really diving into it, the more you feel these things, the more you step into that, the more powerful this technique is going to be for you. So the third step within this process is to simply, while you're at your absolute peak and visualizing and taking in this moment of this exercise, of being at your absolute peak, of the sensations, the symptoms, the sounds, the hearing, and most importantly, the feelings of feeling absolutely amazing and calm and relaxed, I want you to create a trigger. And the trigger could be anything. Some of the most common triggers though are the thumb and forefinger, pressing that together and clenching your fist together like this, maybe pulling your hat down, pressing your ear, a deep breath in and out, possibly a word or phrase. Any of these things, just simply create a trigger that you find remarkable. And when you do this, you're creating that trigger and you're anchoring that trigger to this feeling of feeling absolutely amazing. And by anchoring, I mean you're connecting the trigger, the cause of whatever it is that you want to have, something that's going to create and elicit this feeling and these emotions that you're feeling in this moment. So in other words, by creating a trigger, we'll say the forefinger and the thumb because it's the easiest to remember. By doing this next time, you're going to elicit the emotions, these favorable emotions of feeling amazing, relaxed, calm, all these favorable things that you want to feel. And by pressing that thumb and forefinger together, you'll elicit having these things come about because they're going to be connected. That association or that anchor is going to be there for you next time. It's really a powerful NLP technique, and the more that you do this practice, the more powerful it becomes. So again, I want you to do this exercise as soon as this video is over, but also for the next week or two, really as often as you can, do this exercise again and again, and the more you do it, the more powerful this trigger and the anchor is going to be. The more connected they're going to become, and the more powerful the sensations and the feelings that you have, the favorable feelings you have, is going to be ingrained in your system. So the next time you're feeling a little anxious or you feel like you're going to get an anxiety attack, just simply use that trigger that you've been working on and you'll start to feel absolutely amazing again, just like you worked on before. The number 4 proven technique for stopping anxiety attacks is called pattern interrupting. This is another powerful NLP technique, and it's really effective for getting you out of the moment of going down that cascade of getting into a full-on anxiety or panic attack. Because as you know, when you're getting a panic attack, the cascade of events, it's almost like it's a snowball that's going downhill. The snowball starts off really small, but the more it goes downhill, the bigger it gets, the larger it gets, and the harder it becomes to stop. By doing a pattern interrupt, you're actually really getting to the snowball right away and putting it out so it doesn't continue to go downhill and get worse and worse. So here's how to do it. The next time you feel the sensations of a panic attack coming on, I need you to immediately break that pattern, immediately jump out in front of that snowball and just stomp it out. So for instance, if you're starting to think of something that's bringing you anxiety and you feel like this is starting to creep up in you, you immediately break that pattern by doing something different, by doing something sort of abnormal or out of the blue that isn't part of your normal system or routine of thinking about this anxiety that leads to an anxiety attack. How does this look exactly? So for this purpose, we'll say it's a relationship anxiety. There's all types of anxieties out there, but we'll just say, for example, you're thinking of your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, something about that relationship, something about your relationship is causing you anxiety. Possibly you're thinking that maybe they're on vacation with their friends and they're cheating on you with somebody else, or they're doing something that's going to possibly break up your marriage or your relationship, and it's giving you anxiety. And you're thinking about this, and ordinarily you start to think about it more and more, and it leads to a downward spiral of these negative thoughts, which then in turn 5, 10, 20 minutes later lead to a full-on anxiety attack. So as soon as you start to think of these thoughts, rather than going down that spiral, you have the first thought, you have the second thought, and immediately you stand up and do jumping jacks. Or immediately you stand up and clap your hands loudly, or immediately you stand up and start shouting or singing your favorite song on the top of your lungs, or immediately you jump up off your seat and then you go down and start doing push-ups. All of these things are pattern interrupts. They interrupt the pattern of your thinking and immediately switch it from thinking this to doing something completely different and having to shift over to thinking this. So what you want to do at this point is simply change your mindset, your focus onto something else. Now, this could be anything in the world. We could do something like the 4-7-8 breathing technique. We could use the anchoring technique of the thumb and the forefinger, pressing those together to get that favorable outcome and get those feelings, emotions, all those sensations coming back into you. You could do a single point meditation where you simply just focus on your breathing in and out, feeling the air going into the lungs and then out of the lungs, and then just simply focusing on that over and over again until your mind calms down. We're getting it off the track of the downward spiral and bringing it onto something favorable that's going to be relaxing and calming. This is really effective for you getting out of that downward spiral immediately and shifting you back on track, but you really need to combine it with something else, another relaxing, calming technique, preferably one of the ones we talked about, or single point meditation again, which is going to get you on the right path where you can calm your mind down and really get it back on track to having favorable thoughts and favorable emotions. Step number 5 for stopping anxiety attacks is using the panic away method. This is a technique pioneered by a guy named Joe Barry, who came out with an ebook called Panic Away many, many years back. And this is one of the best techniques I've ever found to stop anxiety, panic attacks in their tracks. It's a quick 3-step process. Step number 1 is to simply identify all the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations of the panic attack as it's coming on. You become an observer of all these thoughts and feelings and sensations you're having, all the crazy racing thoughts that you're having, the tightness in the chest, maybe the pounding of the heart or the racing heart or the sweaty palms or the butterflies in the belly, all of the sensations of an anxiety attack. Just simply observe them. Step number 2, and this sounds a little crazy, but it's to actually welcome all the sensations and the symptoms that you're having. You want to literally have a dialogue in your head and welcome all the racing thoughts, the pounding chest, the sweaty palms, the butterflies in the belly, all of the things that you're having that is leading to this anxiety attack that actually is the symptoms and sensations of the anxiety attack. Welcome them back in as if it's an old friend. So you literally say the words in your head, things like, welcome back anxiety, welcome back sweaty palms, welcome back tightness in my chest, welcome back pounding of my heart, welcome back butterflies in my stomach, welcome back shaky legs, welcome back whatever it is, all these symptoms, sensations that you're having, welcome it back as if it's an old friend. And step number 3, and this is really gets crazy, is to actually ask for more of these symptoms and sensations. That's right. You literally say things like, give me more of these racing thoughts. Give me more of these thoughts of my wife or my husband cheating on me on this vacation. Give me more of these sweaty palms. Give me more of this feeling of my chest squeezing and tightening. Give me more of these butterflies in my stomach. Give me more of all of these sensations, whatever they may be. You go right down the line and call every single one of them out. And by doing this, by demanding, it's not just actually asking for more anxiety. You're really demanding more anxiety. But by doing this, you're actually calling it out for what it is. And what it is, again, is just a projection into the future of the worst case scenario of what you think is possibly going to happen. But again, by exposing it to the light, you actually reveal that it's nothing more than a concoction, a fabrication in your mind of a projection into the future of a negative outcome occurring. Not something that has occurred, but something that you're projecting into the future that may occur. And this projection in the future is leading to your present moment being horrible and full of anxiety. But by calling it out and revealing what it truly is, which is actually absolutely nothing in the moment, it's not actually causing you any harm in this moment right now. By calling it out and revealing that it has no true power right now, you make it disappear. It's like you literally suck out all the power from that anxiety and take away all of its hold over you in that moment by simply demanding more of it. It's so empowering and so effective for actually truly being able to beat that anxiety once and for all. Of all the techniques I've mentioned today, this is possibly the most scary to do, the most terrifying initially to do, but also the most powerful and effective if you really want to end anxiety once and for all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but before I go, I want you to let me know in the comment section which one of these techniques you're going to try out. Which one of these techniques really resonate with you the most and that you want to try out to end your next anxiety attack. Or if you've used any of these techniques before, I want to know exactly how it worked for you and what you're going to be trying going forward that you want to try instead. And lastly, if you're a high achieving, high performing professional who's able to get a lot of stuff done but feels like you're being hindered by anxiety or stress in your life right now, go to elitemind.coach right now and sign up for a free 15-minute Elite Mind coaching call with myself. I want to go over your problems and talk about how we can take your performance to the next level by mastering anxiety and stress once and for all and getting you to reach your goals. Again, that's elitemind.coach for a 15-minute Elite Mind coaching call with myself to help you once and for all get past the stress and anxiety that's bringing you down so you can reach your best goals. And I'm also going to put that link in the description so you can click it there as well. And lastly, before I go, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now for more videos just like this.